Hello, everyone. It's Linda from Linda Z's in Arlington Heights, Illinois. And you can tell it's Halloween time or autumn, as you can see on the back. And it is just a little fun. Should I turn around again? You can see it. Okay. I wanted everyone to have a little bit of inspiration for fall. The pumpkins can go all through Thanksgiving and just have a great time with using what you can do with your creativity this fall. Now, where are we? We are in the second series of the Happy Snowman. What I want to accomplish today is to give you some tools and little tips and tricks that are really good when you do quilting with a tile scene. And that means quilting in the hoop with a embroidery hoop. So what I want to show you today is how to do this hooping. So let me take it over here. This happens to be the 10 needle. And you see how the little lug nut you have here, you want to lower it as far as you can. You want to decrease it. And I can do this with my fingers, or I can do something that's even easier, and that's doing it with this wonderful Sam driver. Easy. I love this part. Now, as I said before, we are doing the fabric that is pressed, and I did that on Laura Star. I was going to do it today, but I think you all know to press. You start from the center, you up and down press, then you go out to the side, and then it's a fusible woven. It's different from any other fabric. We've done many tiles throughout the years with many different companies, but this fusible woven, I can tell you from doing many of these, this is the best. It's different from everything else, and that's why I've suggested very strongly that you use the fusible woven. It'll be on our website. It'll be on the email too if you get it. There's 2 layers of heavyweight stabilizer on the back of this. I just wanted to remind you, we went through that last time. And this is the product. I'm not going to do it in the studio here. I have a big cardboard box. I take it into my garage where there's lots of air, or outside, put it on a big garbage bag. And then what I do, I'm not going to actually spray this at you, but I just take one layer and I spray it. And then I put the very heavy tearaway down. I take the next layer and put it on, and I put the very heavy tearaway down, and I press it and press it. Now, many of you have said to me, because many of you have come into the store and have been looking at this, and have said, wow, do you really use 2 layers of extra heavy tearaway? It's the heavy tearaway. It's a product, again, that I haven't found anywhere else. OESD makes it, and it's the 2 products I use almost exclusively from OESD. And I will tell you, I have some of these samples in the front, and I'm going to show you in a minute. They're not cut out yet because I just wanted to show you the process as you're going through. But I love the 2 layers of tearaway because you're not going to get the puckering. I mean, you can see this. It's just fabulous. There's absolutely no puckering whatsoever. I think it goes this way with the pine going down. And just fabulous. I mean, no puckering whatsoever. Now, you could probably do this whole tile scene with only 1 layer. If you really want to make it nice and smooth and eliminate your hoop burn, because I'm going to show you up here. In fact, I'm going to turn my Laura Star on and make sure it's, I guess it is on. You've got a lot of nice steam here. And I'm going to show you how I can do that after I've hooped it for you so you can see what I'm doing. So I have opened up my hoop as big as it, as loose as it can go, maybe a little bit less. And because when you've got 2 layers of tearaway, you have a layer of woven fusible, and then you have the fabric. That's quite a bit in here. I'm taking an old one where I used the wrong thread on here, but I thought it would be good for you to see. You want to be, and I'm going to cover that too, you want to be very careful when you're doing these tiles that you are using the correct thread in the right order. So now I'm going to take my hands and I'm just going to go right into it. And see, but we're not done. Now, I don't know, Nick, if you can get this up close, but that's why I like the bolt over on this side, because I bring it out to the edge where there's nothing there, I don't know if you can see this. Without doing this, let's see, how can we get it up here so you can you see it? So what I'm doing now is I'm really tightening this, but you don't want it to come out, so I'm right over the edge so it's open, and I can keep turning and turning and turning. And then I go in again, I press it down so I make sure that it's in there real good. And again, like I said, this is a 5x7 for my 10 needle. I do all of these on a 10 needle. I shouldn't say all of them because I have a luminaire too, and a Solaris, and I have done some of them on there. Okay, now I'm going to press this in, and if you can see the back, you can see that I try to bring it up a little bit to the back, this inner hoop, just a little bit, so that it's not rubbing on this plastic. See how it's there? And it's right here. And actually, this is why you want one of these SAM drivers, because I'm still continuing to turn it. I mean, it's just really amazing what you can do. And because you have really stabilized this, you can see, and Nick, if you get this real up close, there is not one single pucker, not one. And you can see I've done a little design in here already. This is just as a sample, but it's just an amazing way of doing it. And that's 2 layers of heavyweight tearaway, 1 layer of the fusible woven, and 1 layer of the Kona. I like this color. It's called Prairie Sky, but there are other blues that are really good, and we will have that Kona. We've ordered all kinds of extra bolts, and you're going to get a special on the Kona, and you'll find it on our email. If you don't, you can call in and you can say, I saw Linda's video, the series, and they will give you a special when you order the Kona. One of the important things that I want to talk about and give you some information about is why and where do you buy these designs and the USB stick that goes with this. And we have on our website a little butterfly on the very first page. It's at the bottom, is it, Nick, where they can, all you do is click on that, and that will take you directly to the OESD website. Now, they have some kind of way, we hope, we're hearing they do, of giving us a little bit of credit for this. We spend a ton of time, as you can imagine, putting all this together. And we are hoping that you're going to buy local, or you're going to buy from the people that are showing you how to put and do all of this. And so many of you have been so great about that. I really want to thank you. I really mean that. Some of you have literally sent me notes. You've talked to me. You have told me that, you know, I didn't know you weren't getting credit. I thought every time I went on to this OESD website that we were getting credit from them. We weren't. So we've created this little butterfly they have that they've given to us, and supposedly you have to do it every single time. So instead of going directly to the OESD website, if you go to our website, it takes one little click. You go on our website, click on that little butterfly at the bottom of the page, and then it will go directly to OESD, and then we get a little bit of credit. I think that on one of these designs at $1, we get maybe 20 cents or whatever it is. But it does mean something, and because there's a lot of you doing this, and that's one of the ways that we can pay for doing more videos. So I really want to thank you for that. Your loyalty has been phenomenal, and I really appreciate it. Another thing that I want to show you that I think is really a key thing is that this little paper here is very important when you're doing your tiles. I just copied this and brought it out for you, but what I do, you see how it's showing you the numbers and of what you're going to put in. Now, because I'm doing this on a 10 needle, and there are only 10 needles on a 10 needle, and many times when you're looking at some of these pages, you're going to find that there's 15 or 16 colors. If I'm doing it on my luminaire, it's very easy to quickly go through those. But if I'm doing it on my 10 needle, I have to stop it. And there's a little hand I can put on there before I start that will stop in the places that I want to change. So I try to do all the similar colors all at the same time. Now, this I wanted to get done because I wanted to show you some of the designs. But right now I'm working all on snow. So I've got all these that I've done. So when I do it, the most important thing is you check off when you've done one. Check it off. You will remember. It sounds ridiculous. I guarantee you when you start getting into this, this is one of the key things that you will want to do. Not only will you want to check it off, and I know I mentioned this in the video before, but you will want to, if you look on this, this is number 9. And I put the number right on the back. Very, very important that you write. And find a dark area because you don't want to put that number in a real light area where it might show through. Although with these many layers, I don't think it will go through. All right, so I've done that with the hoop. Now, many times if I'm busy, I will do 2 or 3 of these, and then I might be in the middle of one, and I leave it on my machine, and I get up in the morning, and I start it again. So what is that going to do to you, think, to your fabric? You might get hoop burn, right? Well, we got a fix for that. So I'm going to go over here to my lovely Laura Star iron that I told you was already on, as you can see with the steam. Do you know why I did that? I can hear, I know there's somebody out there that knows why when I start to press, why it's not just to show you the steam. The water, the steam pressure is going through this hose so that when I start to actually press this and press out that hoop burn, that hoop area so I don't get the burn, you will literally not have any water that goes through because the steam and everything is already going through. Okay, I'm going to give it to you. Okay, I've already done one here, and you can see this one. Now, I do love this pad just for one of the presses. First I will press on my iron. Then I will go over to the pad. And do you notice what I'm doing with this pad? I am turning the embroidery down onto the pad, and then I'm going to press it. So let me start, though, the way I start with it. See this big hoop burn on there? The hoop mark? It's not really burn, but it's a actual mark. I'm going to take this, and with my Laura Star, I am pressing it. Now, I am not ironing it. I am pressing it. It's already gone. I don't know if you can see that, but it's already gone. But I do then turn it over, and I press it again. And yes, I press right on top of this, what we call ultra or real heavy tearaway. And then I might take it again and press one more time. Because remember, I'm going to cut this square out with my seams. I'm going to show you that too. Then I take this and I press it. I put the embroidery part down on my felt pad, and I give it another press. And I'll turn it over just to make sure everything's done. And it is in perfect shape. And you can see there's absolutely no hoop. See the difference? Here you can see the hoop. And here it is completely gone. Here it is completely gone. Now, if you don't have a Laura Star and you think this is going to happen to you, get yourself a really good iron. I just can't even. We have the lifts that are beautiful. You want a good iron. Your tools are so important when you're doing this kind of work. Now, when I want to take this, we're all done with that. I'm going to show you the cutting again because I did tell everybody that I would show you the way that I cut these squares out. And Nick, I don't know if you can get this in. I'm going to show you a couple little tools here that are really important too. This is the finished product, and this is something I'll cover in a minute. I'm going to take this ruler. This, I hesitated to use it, quite frankly, because we can't get these anymore. Kay England was the last of the Mohicans with wonderful, wonderful, 1/16 of an inch going this way and an 1/8 of an inch this way. I mean, really wonderful lines with you can see they're separate. So I can go this way, I can go this way, I can go any way, I can turn it over. I always have the lines available, and they're laser cut. So what do I want to follow on this design? The most important thing is the last color. And the last color is, I changed the bobbin for the last color. And Nick, I don't know if they can get this. I'm going to cover this right now real quick. This is one of these designs that I've done here. And you can see it's lots of snow. It's part of the Christmas tree or the snowy tree by the snowman. And you can see these are the colors of the OESD that are in this box, in the this little snowman box. I am so glad I bought this box. It's really difficult to get things today, as you probably know, and it's almost impossible to get some of these threads. So they had them all there. I could just go and get them and put them together. But what I do, now these numbers I've written in here, but if you look at this number over here, the first one, it says the blue background, and it is the yen met, which is a really wonderful, you've never worked with it before. It's almost, well, it is metallic, but I hesitate to tell you it's metallic because people go, oh my gosh, I can't use metallic. And I have not had, in all these things that I've been doing, and this has been used in the background on every single tile, there are over 20 that I've done, there has not been one single breakage. So that will happen to you too. You will see it's a phenomenal, and it almost looks like an aurora borealis. They call it AN-3, which is a blue, and we do have it in the store. It's almost sold out everywhere, so we were very lucky to get it. Well, let me show you again. So that's the first color. It's called 7029. These colors right here are in order of what you are going to be sewing. So if you have, say, a Bernina that you're going to work on, this is the order. You're going to start with the blue background, then you're going to go to the dark blue, then whatever color is there. This color over here is really the OESD color. It may not show up on your machine. Most of you have embroidery machines that you can put like Floriani or Isacord or whatever on there. This happens to be an Isacord thread. So if you put it into your machine, because these threads are so new, it may not show up as the color that you are showing in your box. You want to use this color that is in your box and use it in the order that it is on the sheet. Every sheet has one of these. That's why it's so important to print these out, because every little tile tells you exactly, you start with this, then this, then this, then this, and this. And it tells you exactly what color. Now, when you have a multi-needle, those of you that do a lot of embroidery, I'd be lost without my multi-needle. It's just phenomenal. Now, it moves the colors around because there's 10 of them, and it can do that, and then it's got other colors. So when I go onto my screen of my embroidery, the first color that is going to sew out is not it's number 1, but it's not number 1 on my screen. It's number 2. The next one is on the 8th spool, number 8, then 9, then 2, then 1, then 2, then 1. So it actually shows me on my screen exactly what order I'm going to sew out. Now, there's a little something I want you to look at on this sheet, because number 2, as I started out with, is this yen met, which is just a wonderful little sparkle. And if you see up close here, you can see that it is, it's this color going across. And see how pretty it is? It just kind of gives you a little glint. It's just the background that's on every one of the tiles. So that's the only place that you're going to see this yen met, is on the background of the tile. Well, what did I just show you? On this sheet, I showed you that there was another 2. We went 2, 8, 9, and then it went to 2 again. Well, that's because my multi-needle wants me to change number 2 to another color, which was a light blue. Then, if you look down, there's a 1 and then another 2. Again, I'm going to change it now to white. And what I do, not to get confused, I take one of these boxes. I cannot tell you how many mistakes this has helped me not make. Because what I do is I put my thread from this box in order of the tile that I am sewing. It's right here before I thread my machine. If I'm doing a single needle machine, it's right in order. If I'm doing a multi-needle machine, I will take it from here first. I put it in here so that, and I start here and I go around. And that is, I tell you, it just saves, you go pretty fast when you start doing these. And what happens is you don't even have to think. It's right there, it's ready to go. You can put it on your spools and you know you're not going to make a mistake. Because the mistake that I did make, let's see, where's that hoop? You can see on this one, it doesn't have the shine because it was actually done in white. I forgot to change it. This is before I was starting to use it, and I just put the spools on. I put the wrong spool on the wrong spindle. So of course I got white instead of this beautiful little sparkle color. So I hope some of this will help you save, some time for you. I'm going to show you another mistake later that I hope you don't make either. Now let me finish cutting because I hope this ruler, because it's got the lines, you want to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance, not a 1/4 inch like you might be used to with your regular quilting, but a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You need that because of all of the fabrics and everything that you have in here. Now this ruler, and Nick, I don't know if you can get this again up close. I know you can, but I want to take this nice black or green, one of the solid colors on the back, and I'm going to put it over the fabric so it'll cut off. And then I'm going to straighten that out, and then I'm going to go over to this black line, because if you look at this again, you can see that the last step on this sheet that I was showing you, and it's on every single tile, is number, well, on here it was number 1, but that number 1, the last thread color, is for you to change your bobbin thread to a dark color, because this is how you are going to sew your seams together to match them. It's not a dark color on the front, it's a dark color on the back. And when you do this dark color like this around, it gives you a really good place in order to cut, because here's the key, not just the sewing, but you're going to put this on. I'm marking, see, if you can get up real close on here, you can see that I'm taking this green line along here, and then on the black, I'm getting the black. This is a 1/2 inch from here to here. And then I want to make sure that the top of this is all evenly spaced, and it is. It's all lined up there and here, so I know it's perfectly square. So what I'm going to do, I take my little rotary cutter that I love, the Alex Anderson, and you see I'm going across. I'm not going like this. That's really an important thing. And now I know I have lined up exactly a 1/2 inch from that black line. Then I'm going to go over to the other side, turn it around, do the same thing, line it up off the fabric. Doesn't matter any way that, don't use these. Don't use the lines on your cutting mat. You need a really good ruler. This is a laser cut. If you can't get one of these, I recommend the the Quilter Select. It does have that little, oh, I don't know what's on the back, but something that it's a gripper that keeps them from sliding. But I prefer this only because you see how my hand is? See where my little finger is? It's holding the edge of that. Now I know that this is lined up perfectly. I'm going to go ahead and go right across, and there we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and line up the 1/2 inch, the bottom and the top. I want to make sure it's perfectly square, because in order to be perfectly square, in order to have your seams perfectly correct, because you're going to see there's a lot of little things you're going to have to line up. Last one, let's do the same thing. Line it up here on the bottom. I want to make sure the top is all along the same one. Turn it over, and now I know that I am completely squared on this design. I'll show you one that I have done. Now, this was a mistake. Can anybody see what the mistake was? That's why I do a lot of these just for samples. And the mistakes I love because I want to show them to you. I thought that this yun mat would be wonderful on the roof for snow, but the designer of this knew that it wasn't. That's why she put the white in there. So this was the one that I thought I was going to use, and instead, let's see where my tree is. It's up here. Okay, so look at the difference. See how this, let me fold him under there. See how one is a little bit, there's a lot of glitter in it, but it's not as bright and as pretty as the white that is on here. So I do like to use the colors. You've got to be real careful. I just thought, oh, well, white's white. Well, it's not. There is a definite difference with your colors. one last thing, because next week I'm going to show you more on how to put these squares together. You're not going to go and sew them all the way across. Very important you don't do that. I put them in 4s and in 4s, in 4s and in 4s, and then we're going to sew them together. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But in the meantime, it's going to take you, if you haven't started yet, it's going to take you a week to get this done. It really is. It's not, I mean, you want to have fun with it, so you don't want to have it to be grudgery. You want to be able to just, have fun with seeing a little snowman's face pop out. He was just absolutely darling when he came out with the the little nose, and he's got a really pretty little scarf that's coming around on the bottom. So it's really working out good. Now you can see there is it's kind of a chain holding this little birdhouse, and you want to match that chain up. And in order to do that, you've got to have your seams even, right? Now, I did tear away before. Here's what I'm going to do right now to show you. I take this 2 layers. They tell you to do it later. I like doing it now. And if you're having trouble, because this is such heavy tearaway, if you can't get both of them, you might have to start on the side and really do a fold. So you've got it. And let's get a start here. Okay, and then we're going to just pull this all the way down. And then you're going to do the same thing here. But before you start to pull it, you take this seam and turn it over, give it a little crease, and then you can pull it. And you can see on here, I have taken it all out of the seam. Not inside the seam, on the outside of the seam. Okay, very important. Maybe they can see that up close. You see how I've ripped that out? Along here, up here, and even here. Now, I have then taken these 2 squares together. I use these little clips. They're great for that when you put the 2 together. But the key for these tiles is that you're going to find some portion that has to meet up. Their ends have to meet up, and this little rope or whatever it is hanging the birdhouse, of course, has to meet up here. If it doesn't, you want one of these. Very important. This is a seam ripper. I actually like the small one. We carry those too with the little thing when you're doing these tile scenes. Another suggestion I would have when you're starting to do this is do not make your seam the regular 2.5 or 3, even go 3.5. And I know somebody's going to ask me, what kind of thread do you use? When I sew these tiles together, of course we use embroidery thread when we're doing the designs, but when I sew the tiles together, I always use Metrazine 100-weight thread. It is the best, it's the strongest, it stays together, you never have to worry about them coming apart. They just work beautifully. Now, the next tool, really important, if you're going to use your Laura Star, you're going to go over and press it open. If you're having trouble, I'm going to come back to the ironing board so you can see this. If you're having trouble pressing this, you'll press them to one side first and get them warm, and then you'll go press down the center. And if you're still having trouble opening it up, you have to have one of these in your stash. I love this number 1 because it doesn't roll off, because it's 8-sided or 6-sided. And you see how here, let me go over to the board. If they can get this up close, this would be great. You start here, and it just opens up your seam. It's just amazing how it does it. And then you want to press it, but it opens up your seam perfectly for you so that you don't have to, and you want to do it on the wrong side. Now, when you turn that over, you always want to make sure that these 2 little things match. If they don't, like I said, take your seam ripper. I think I'm covered. There's just a couple little quick things I want to show you that I think are important. I use these are the 2 scissors I use when I'm doing the tiles. Not for cutting them out, I use my rotary, of course, but this is wonderful to get in if you have to cut it, maybe it didn't cut the thread quite right, and you can get in there and cut it. It's a double curve scissor, and we have them on our website, so you'll see it during the web or during the email. And these Tula Pink aren't just pretty, they work. I just love this for changing my threads. You know, I'm changing, and you will be too. You'll be changing a lot of threads. It's just nice to cut it nice and clip. It, look at that, just cut it off perfectly. I can thread it real quick and then I'm ready to go. Cleaning your machine, be sure you do that because there's a lot of lint going around when you're doing that. So you want this, and I don't know where my little, no, this. These are really, and we have some others that are plastic and they're, I hope they're not on our website. Don't buy them. These are by far better. There is a difference between the ones that get in there and clean out. And this little tool, I would not be without it. It's, again, I think I've told you, when you drop something, even if it's, here, let me drop a little one. Oh, dear, I don't want to bend over. So I just touch that, and there I pick up my seam ripper. And I can't tell you how many times a day this happens. So I really hope that this will give you some really fun things to do. I think we have covered it. So just start. You know, my tip last week is that you had to go out there and cut everything first. Do that. There are some techniques where some of the, you know, blogs and places will show you that you can move your hoop along as you are doing it. I don't do it that way. You could, maybe that works for you, but for me, I'm a person that I like to have my squares out in front of me. I did make them a little bit bigger. I have, you know, I want to have extra when I'm in that hoop. You can see that because I'm using a multi-needle, and when I go under there, even when I'm using my single needle machine, because I do some of these on the single needle too, I like a little extra fabric, so I cut mine 15 inches wide, which I think I told you, and out of a big long strip, you can, as I showed you last time, but I'll just review it real quickly. What I do is I cut the 7.5 inches here, and of course that'll give me 15 inches, and then I'll have 2 inches of strips here. I cut my fusible, I press them on, I go out to the garage, I spray all the stabilizer on. And the spray, I did have a question before on what is the spray, why do you need it? It's great because it holds that fabric. The most important thing you want to do in embroidery, whether it's a shirt like this or, you know, this is on a sweater and it doesn't pucker, it doesn't move at all, is to make sure if you can use fusible, do it. Well, you know, Tearaway is not fusible, so this makes it fusible. That's it. Hopefully you're having a little apple cider and maybe a candy apple or something for fall. And if it's not fall for you when you're watching this, just enjoy working with the project. Have fun, and next week you'll see a lot of these put together. Thanks, everyone.